Hello and welcome to Nigerian Governors Live. My name is NIG GOV. We're reaching you from our studios in Abuja. The spread of insecurity across the country has made it even more difficult for states to initiate and implement development projects. In fact, in many states, development has been stalled by other needs, mainly those of the citizens who have either been displaced or have suffered loss of livelihood because of the menace of insecurity. For instance, self-sustenance in food has taken a blow because farmers have been scared away from their farms. On the program today, we will be discussing with His Excellency, the Right Honorable Aminu Bello Masari, the Executive Governor of Katsina State, about governors and the challenges of development in the midst of insecurity. Stay with us. We'll be back after this break.
Nigerian governors.
And thank you, Mr. Governor, for making our time to be with us on the program Nigeria's Governors Live. Now, Katsina has suffered its own share of insecurity due to activities of bandits, cattle rustlers, and kidnappers. What is the secret behind the reduction of levels of insecurity in Katsina State?
Well, we as a government, we are giving all the necessary support to security agencies. And again, we are collaborating with other states, neighboring states, in addressing this issue of banditry and other forms of cross-border criminality. And we have involved all the strata of society. For us in Katsina, issue of security is the responsibility of all of us. What we have done so far is to create security committees right from the village level. You know, where we are having this problem are local government that are bordered on the forest area. So we have formed security committees at the hamlet level, going to village level, and going to district level. We are trying to reintroduce a structure that was very effective before. The Meungwa, who looks after a particular area, and for a very long time they have been stripped of responsibility other than, yes, he's Meungwa, but what does he do as Meungwa? Virtually very little or nothing. Now, we have formed these security committees that involves the village head or the ward head, as the case may be, including the imams. You know, here we have two strong sects, Islamic sects, Izala and Rika. We involve them. And you know, head of shavers, local shavers, very, very influential, because once there is a newborn baby, he will be invited. They are normally the ones that to do the shaving for the new child, because it's very common here. And they also participate in performing circumcision, as the case may be. So they are very vast in terms of knowledge of their localities. Then you have, like I said, the imams who always attend to naming ceremonies, lead prayers, wedding ceremonies, funerals, and these are people who are connected. Then you come to the butchers, the head butcher. You cannot kill an animal in the forest unless you have a customer. So they are also very influential in giving information with regards to movement of animals or slaughtered animals. Then you have the Sarkin Tesha. If the village is by the roadside, vehicles do pass, And that person, he sees who comes in and who goes out. So these are the kind of people, including youth leaders in the villages, because most of them, you find them, they are the one leading the local vigilante. And the women leaders, women that go from house to house, when they see something odd in a house that they normally visit, so they are very important in terms of gathering information. This information, when gathered, will be filtered. Mind you, the community police officer of that particular place is a member, and the head of the vigilante in that community is also a member. If we have head of Fulani, Sarkin Fulani Arro in that locality, he's a member. So these are the kind of people we form into a security committee that meets at least once a week and reports to the village head, and from the village head to district head. District head will have a similar committee that examines and filters all the information. This we have passed into law, and a committee has already gone around setting up these structures, local government by local government. But we have done a lot of sensitization before we even come up with this. So the emirate councils of Kazana and Daura are fully aware, are involved in the main committee. They have members. So we have given it wide publicity through mosques and other radio and television. Effective is using imams during Friday sermons in particular. So I think this is what we have done in trying to bring in on board everybody, because we realize that it's not about a policeman. How many policemen do we have? How many military men do we have? But we have hundreds and thousands of villages all scattered all over the state. So if the people will on their own get involved in security, I think at least we'll be able to minimize the problem.
Nigerians seem to be divided when it comes to the issue of negotiating with bandits. Some governors, notably the governor of Kaduna State, had made it very clear that there will be no negotiation with bandits. What is your thoughts about that?
We also realize, you have to realize that bandits do not have a single leadership. They have no leadership. They are simply criminals. So when you say talk to them, talk to who? Because in the forest of Kaduna alone, you find over 100 camps, let alone Zamfara or Kaduna or Kebbi. They operate a gang status too. So, and nobody is under anybody. They may have working relationship when they want to have a massive attack. But the attack, they distribute whatever they got, whether rustling of animals or kidnapping, they divide. Even the people, if they kidnap, they divide according to the camps. So whoever you have in your camp, you are an independent person. So really, talking to them is, if you talk to A, B is not involved, C is not involved. So I think what we need to do is really to find more efficient and effective ways of degrading them, so that we can have absolute control. No society without criminality, but criminality should not be the order of the day. The good ones are in the majority, so they have to take charge in such a way that the criminal elements among us do not disturb our way of life.
We can't help but notice, Mr. Governor, that there are a lot of integrated farm settlements springing up here in Katsina State. Now, why is there a new paradigm shift towards large integrated farm settlements?
I think, first of all, you see, I mentioned a factor which population explosion, especially in this part of the country, where an average person has more than 2 wives. I want you to do the multiplier effect and see. And the land over the years has been over-cultivated. So the production also has greatly reduced. Thank God we have new improved seeds that are really helping the situation. Then because of the population explosion, again, some of the cattle routes have been overtaken by farmers, including the herders themselves. What we used to have as community grazing areas, there was one in my village, but where is it today? It has disappeared. In every village, there was a grazing community grazing area. They've all disappeared. But we cannot bring all of them back. You can't. Because population, urbanization, and many factors. But you can use technology to address some of these issues. There's improved seeds in everything. What was being produced in 1 hectare some 10 years ago, today you can produce 10 times of that through modern farming method and improved seeds. So these are issues which we are tackling. I think the program we are talking is about having 1,000 young farmers. And I think we are working with the Ministry of Agriculture and CACID to identify all the 1,000 that are needed for farming. Farming does not mean only going on the farm. Somebody who does poultry is a farmer. Who does cattle rearing is a farmer. Somebody who does ruminants, like we just finished with Basala, the Eid al-Kabir. You can see how many rams were sold in Kaduna State. So there are people whose business is to buy now, feed them well, so that by next year, something they will buy today at 10,000, they can sell at 100,000 if they are feeding them well. So that you don't say everybody go back to land, but does not mean everybody must plant a crop. There are many things that we can do in agriculture. Some are entrepreneurs in agriculture. This value addition is critical, because value addition by young farmers helps in cutting off unnecessary middlemen and farmers losing. Because somebody buys a bag of maize at 10,000. He does some value addition, repackaging, frying, flour. Then he gets 50,000. See, a lot of agriculture, the whole value of agriculture can provide employment for Nigerians. Over 80%, some directly and some indirectly.
Mr. Governor, recent figures have shown that the level of unemployment in Nigeria is at an all-time high. And a lot of people are concerned about this. A lot of Nigerians are concerned about this. Now, would you say reducing the high unemployment rates in the country will make any impression on insecurity?
I absolutely agree with you. Some of what we have discovered over dealing with this insecurity, where the bandit leaders are recruiting, they are recruiting from people who are stark illiterate. They lack Islamic education. They claim to be Muslims, but the tenets of what makes them a Muslim, they don't know. Worshipping God, they don't know how to worship. They only answer the name because when they grew up, they were being called with a certain name. They don't even know the history of the name. How did I come about Muhammad Aminu? What the meaning of Muhammad Aminu? So because every name has a meaning. Because nobody would like to be called a donkey. Isn't it? So every name has a history. These people don't know. They don't. Because they lack Islamic and Western education. For a very long time, they were abandoned in the forest. And there was huge population explosion. No, to be honest, this country had an opportunity. But, I had an interaction with, when I was in civil service over 30 years ago, when I went for a course in the United States. And I met a senior consultant with the World Bank. He said, no, don't worry. Don't worry, it's not easy to manage wealth. But everybody is a good manager of poverty. One would have thought during 2013 to 14, when oil was selling at $100 to $140 per barrel, if you tell somebody there will come a day when the oil will sell at less than $30, he said that would be the end of Nigeria. But we sold before below $30 per barrel, and the country survived. Most of the things, except the extravaganza that was being done before, are being done. Workers are being paid salaries. And hospitals are running. Schools are running. They may not run as you wish, because there is nothing like an ideal situation. There's nothing like an ideal situation. I think, yes, when we say, yes, we have gotten money, we would have been far ahead of where we are. I agree with you. But that does not mean nothing has been done. If the country can survive from 2015 to date with the low price of oil, with COVID, you could see that really, I think if Nigerians work as a people, united, the sky is the limit.
I also would like to draw your attention to another thing that has been noticed should I say development that has been noticed in Katsina State. There is a vast rural road network in Katsina State. What is the wisdom behind this?
We have built over 543 tarred roads. We have built over 2,000 kilometers of rural feeder roads. We have rehabilitated, complete rehabilitation of over 300 kilometers of roads across the state. You ask, Katsina is basically a rural state. People live in locality. Some of the challenges of addressing issues of security is because of lack of access. So even the road that the president commissioned, the history of that road was a banditry attack on Saskia village. That saw the village head. And most of the people, we met them in Dutsamma by the roadside. Coincidentally, the village head was my senior in secondary school, and he was a prefect. He's now the village head of Saskia. Myself, Commissioner of Police, then commanding officer, we could not reach that a very short place. It took us almost 2 hours to reach to Saskia village. So even there was an attack, they were calling But before you go, this kind of attacks, they are like flash floods. They come and operate within 30 minutes, they have gone. So by the time any security personnel will reach there, they have already finished their operation. And the anger of the population will be on the security officer. You didn't come. How could they? So that was the story of that road that covers 50 kilometers. And from there we promised to do the road, and we started in 2016, we designed the road and constructed it. So to provide access to some of the most difficult places, working with the House of Assembly under the constituency projects, that's how we are able to build over 2,000 kilometers of rural field roads across the state. And we believe our people, the majority of people, live in localities. So our focus is more on really rural infrastructure, so that people should remain where they are. They can afford to farm their land and also transport their land. Even in rural edification, we emphasized under working with the State House Assembly also on rural electrification, taking energy so that you can have small processing. Now we are working with these agents in Ministry of Power for this 5 million household of this solar. We are working on it with the Federal Ministry of Power. So we are developing 361 comprehensive healthcare centers in all the 361 political wards. So we are more concentrating in the rural areas, and maybe even on your way from Daura to here, you would observe almost most of the villages.
Mr. Governor, we can't leave this or come to an end without touching on this very important issue. What is your view on electoral amendment, especially when it comes to electronic transmission of results?
For me, my opinion is that even if you got electronic transmission, you have to confirm it with manual transmission. Because these young people with this anything to do with this computer and everything, I'm afraid of them. They can easily hack whatever, because whatever somebody does, somebody more brilliant, more intelligent can beat it. You can see how even these people who are transmitting this satellite transmission, how they are battling with the people breaking their codes. Even the service providers, you can see how they are changing their codes on daily basis. But for us, some people regard election as a do or die affair. So for them, they can go to any extent to either one, hack or sabotage the transmission. So for whatever you are going to do, you have to look at your level of infrastructural development, because it is done in America, because something is being done in Belgium. You have to ask yourself, am I in a position to do what they are doing? Do I have the infrastructure to do what they are doing? And what is the nature of elections? This country, they have conquered hunger. Have we? What was promised in 1960 after independence is still what we are battling with. In those countries, who is talking about 3 square mil? Who's talking about education? Who's talking about water supply? Who's talking about accessibility? They are talking about issues at a much, much higher level than us. We had the opportunity to develop our infrastructure, power, roads, institutions, but did we? So my take on that is simple. We have to do what our level of infrastructure can accommodate. And if you say, okay, INEC should transmit electronically, and they say they have the capacity, they can do it, where is the verification? Because you wouldn't be sitting in your village with an authentic result, somebody announcing a result that is totally different from yours. Yes, electronically transmit, how do you verify it? Because verification is very important. Because maybe I'm a bushman, that's why I'm a bit conservative. Maybe I don't understand the way this technology works, but I'm afraid of these young brains, very smart, to really do manipulation.
I'd like to thank you so much, Mr. Governor, for making our time to be with us on the program, The Nigerian Governance Live. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for staying with us during the course of our discussion with the governor, the executive governor of Katsina State, the Right Honorable Aminu Bello Masari. We'll come your way same time, same station next week. Make sure that you join us here on Silverbird at 6:30 to 7 p.m. On Silverbird next week for another interesting edition of the program. And for those here in Abuja, you can also link up with us on our sister station, Rhythm FM 94.7, for another live edition of the program, The Nigerian Governance Live at 9 a.m. Thank you so much. My name is Alan Janaiga. See you next week.
Nigerian governance.